Hey guys, welcome to Buranchi Special. My name is Kaz.
I'm Christoph.
Nicole.
And let's get started.
So I will be talking about an anime called Blends, which I watched through Crunchyroll because it was on the most popular list that comes up for use the Apple TV, so it comes up as right on the first page. And the protagonist's name is Maika, and she's a high school student who's looking for a job and can't get it because she's got these sadistic eyes, and they get real, like, kind of gloomy, so to say. You kind of have to see what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I'm
like,
already losing interest about this show.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not fun.
It wasn't a good
It
one.
wasn't a good one. But basically, she does end up getting a job at this one restaurant, and each character has their own like personas that they portray to the customers that come in, and she ends up with the role of the sadistic customer employee. So where the weird part is the manager is like a 30-year-old or something, Italian guy that moved to Japan and engulfed himself in Japanese pop culture and everything, and otaku, and he's got all these plushes and everything.
Is his name Mario?
No, his name is Dino. And
Dino.
yeah,
That is very Italian.
and he's in love with the main protagonist.
How old is she?
She's like 16. So it's a little bit weird. I'm not a fan of it. Regardless what
made it so bad?
I probably had the dynamic, really. Like, I mean, there.
Is everything just terrible?
There are some funny parts. Like, I'm not gonna like bash it that hard. There is some parts where like you kind of do chuckle a little bit, but then you're reminded of like the whole scenario that she's in, which is she's still a 16-year-old high school that's being hit on by her boss.
That sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah. So.
Sounds like a
Other than
common
that,
trend in most
and then another thing is the illustrator drew a character called Mafuyu, and she's like a 30-something-year-old woman, married and kids, but she looks like a 12-year-old. So, and she plays like the little sister like act. So she comes to she comes up to like the people that the customers that come into the restaurant, and it's like, oh, big brother, what do you want? And I'm just like, it's a bit awkward.
Weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say because it's not something that you really should watch. And
Is there anything good about it?
the comedy, I guess.
Comedy.
That's really it.
There's a couple good jokes in there.
There really is. That's about it. That's all it really has going for it. There's very minimal character development. The main character like only developed into accepting a sadistic role at her current job, and that's really about it. Like, no one else. So other than that, I give it like a 3, 2.5 maybe star rating. That's about it.
Alright.
Not worth your time.
I'm not excited to check this out.
No.
No, not at all. Well, I'm gonna actually have a good review,
That's good.
Today I'm gonna talk about somebody texted me. I'm sorry. I don't know why my phone is not on vibrate. It should always be. It's not even a text. It's IMDb. But I'm gonna be talking about Baccano. Now, Baccano is an old show. It totally didn't get enough recognition as it deserved. I think it's one of the most underrated animes. It's created by the same creator of Durarara.
Okay.
So yes, it is super convoluted. It like skips between 3 different years, and it goes into other years. Like actually, it goes even further back at one point. But it's mainly flipping between 1930, 31, 32, all different, colorful characters, seeing everything from all their points of view.
Yeah.
It involves a train robbery / massacre on the Flying Pussyfoot. Best train name ever.
Okay.
Alright.
That's one
And
name.
it involves like old-timey gangsters.
Okay.
And an elixir for immortality. And it's super good. Yeah. It's hard to explain because even up to like the last episode, like that's fine when things are all tied together. So it's kind of like 12 episodes of like what's going on next? What's going on next? Like there's the story of the rail tracer, and every time you tell the rail tracer story, the rail tracer will come and like kill everyone on the train.
Oh.
And it's funny at one point, like in the there's like 3 people and they're on the train, and one group like wants to rob the train, one group wants to kill everybody on the train, and one group wants to hold the train hostage. And at the same time, they all like hold up the dining buffet, and there's a guy in the middle with like 2 guns. These guys bust in at the one door with guns, and one guy kicks open the door with a knife, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry for the confusion." And it's he's like, "My bad." But it's a great show. Crazy cast of characters, from like Jacuzzi Splot, which is this like crabby baby kid with like a huge face tattoo, and he like blows stuff up with bombs.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and then Isaac and Miria are the best characters. They're like dumb but like happy, and they just make everyone feel good about themselves. And they're like the sweetest thing. And they have a cameo in Durara at one point. When they have the scene in Durara where like all the dollars are meeting.
Okay.
They're actually in the scene for a second, and they have like a quick 1-2 line, and you're like, oh snap.
Oh,
Yeah.
little crossover.
Yeah, kind of, because it was created by them, and technically they can be there. You know?
Technically, yeah.
Like, I don't want to give away too much, but there are immortals in the show. You know? So it's good. It's only like 13 episodes. It's older. You definitely gotta watch it like in a row though.
Yeah.
I tried watching it like 3 times and I fell off, and I'd be like, you need to remember every little detail of the episode beforehand.
Okay.
But yeah, I give that show like 5 stars. It's real good. Definitely check it out, especially if you're a fan of Durara.
So I'm going to be reviewing King's Game. It's another good review. I really liked it. On Crunchyroll. I think it's in the most popular ones. I think that's how I found it. It's a fairly new anime. I think it's only like 2015. I think. I'm not totally sure. It's only like 12 episodes though. But it's another one that's very quick, like what you said. You have to watch them all in a row so they make sense. Because it gets a little confusing. But you follow the main character, Nibaki, and he's being introduced to his new class, and he's kind of closed off. Like they're really trying to be his friend, and he's like, ugh, like he seems traumatized by something. And then they find out about this thing called the King's Game because they all get a text message on their phone.
Oh, you were telling me about this. Yeah.
So basically, King's Game, they don't know who the king is, and you have to follow the king's order or you get punished. And punishment could mean anything between like, I don't know, you have to like pick your nose in public to you dying.
It's like a super intense game, Simon says.
It's really crazy. Like you get their orders from the king. And the only thing I really have to complain about is it kind of goes a little fast, and you have to read the entire order. So sometimes I found myself having to pause it.
Yo, no shame in that.
Yeah, because they're talking at the same time, but then you have this big paragraph of orders from multiple people, so it's like...
Oh, and then there's things on screen that need to be translated, so then there's writing translations,
So, you start off with that. That's his new class that it's happening to. But then you find out that he played before, and he's the only one out of his old class that survived.
With his main kid on the cover right here?
Yeah, so he's like, alright, like, I'm gonna like walk you guys through this, but they kind of separate off in a team. Some people don't believe him, some people think it's his fault.
What's his name?
Nibaki. So, it's kind of weird too because they keep going back and forth from flashbacks to the current one. But, it's really intense. It's kind of gory. Like, there's one part where the guy, he gets the punishment and bled to death. And he starts bleeding from like his eyes and his mouth, and then his skin just gets boils with blood, and he just yeah, it's pretty gross. But it's kind of intense. It's really cool.
Sounds like some family-friendly fun right now.
Yeah. But it's really intense. Like how they try to beat the game, like how they come up with all these different ideas. Like it's kind of a spoiler. Not really. It's one scene they have from his old class. They try to find out if the king is in their class. So the one girl gives herself an order, because she got an order from the king saying, give yourself an order. So she made it touch the king. So she touched everybody in class, and it wasn't in class, so she's like, well, shit. And, yeah, that was the end of her, but...
Alright.
It's pretty intense. I would recommend it. I would give it like a 4. 4 stars.
So, only question I have is, are they in like an alternate universe where there's like a king that rules everybody above everybody, or is it the person who initiated the game is the king?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
It's
So there's like a real person behind this.
Yeah, you have to literally. You don't find anything out like who the king really is until the end. So you really just have to.
But it's not like a god spirit.
No.
It's
Yeah, that's basically
It's
what
like
yeah.
you find
Like
it gets kind of weird, like the explanation of the king, but it's kind of interesting at the same time. But you have to watch till the end, so I'm not gonna like spoil that.
Alright.
It's really intense. Like. It's definitely a bingey show because you do have to pay attention to everything that goes on.
Alright. Cool. Sounds good. Alright, I guess that's it for today, right?
That's all we have, yeah.
Quick one for you guys today, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye.